honestly feels like I've tested pretty much every laptop cooler on the market. And at this point, it feels like there's just been really just one clear winner, which has been the IETS GT500V2. However, I got an email a couple weeks back from a company saying that they believe they actually have something better, which honestly I found really hard to believe. So let's go ahead and find out if that's true. This right here is the Llano laptop cooling pad, and it follows a very similar design philosophy of the IETS GT500V2 with some minor adjustments. So in the same way, unlike most other laptop coolers, this uses a foam base, which is designed to ensure that all the air coming from the massive 2800 RPM fan is actually forced through the bottom of your laptop, rather than escaping out the sides like most other laptop coolers. This directional airflow, from my experience, is how laptop coolers achieve the best cooling capacity either for traditional pads like this one or vacuum laptop coolers like the ClimateCool Plus, which also works to isolate the cooling environment to control the amount of airflow. As far as the design is concerned for this laptop cooler, it isn't bad at all. It is a little bulky in my opinion, but that's fairly common for these high-speed laptop cooling pads. And the laptop cooler also does feature some RGB around the outside with 10 different lighting modes to choose from. This is also actually done way better than a lot of other laptop cooling pads out there on the market, as it's actually properly diffused. But I don't think it's at the bottom of the laptop cooler, right below where your laptop actually sits. That's where the primary interface for this laptop cooler is, as you have your on-off switch, as well as your mode and color switching, followed by a fan speed readout, next to a scroll wheel that allows you to fine-tune your fan speed from 300 to 2800 RPM. Speaking of the 2800 RPM fan, part of the issue with this design, and this actually goes for the same thing for the IETS, is that this cooler actually requires external power because of how high powered this fan is, which makes this cooler quite limited when it comes to portability. The included power supply plugs in right next to the USB hub, which allows you to go ahead and split one of your USB ports into 3. And if we flip the cooler over, you'll see that there's actually 2 adjustable feet, which have 2 levels of adjustability, which is fine, and it's actually built really solid, so I'm actually not worried about not having that many other levels of adjustability, as in most cases, that doesn't help all that much. And in the center at the bottom, you'll actually see there's actually a removable dust filter, which makes cleaning way easier. And I do really like this, because if you've seen any of my repair videos of laptops, they can get absolutely disgusting inside, and this will help prevent a lot of that. With all the design aspects now on the way, let's go ahead and see how well this cooler stacks up against every other laptop cooler that I've ever tested. The laptop, like always, that we'll be using for my testing is my older Asus GL522, which runs quite hot and is a perfect example of a system that needs additional help to stay cool. Starting off with the CPU idle test, which is basically where we see how well at full speed the cooler can keep the system cool while we're sitting at idle. And after running this test, we found that the Llano actually outcooled even the former king, the IETS GT500V2, by 2 degrees Celsius. And what's really impressive about this stat is this is a 20 degrees Celsius drop in temperature against the stock setup. And this great performance didn't even stop there. It's because when we actually ran our Ada64 CPU stress test, we saw that the Llano again outperformed every other system out there on the market, with the CPU temperature sitting below 60 degrees Celsius the entire time, with a max at 59 degrees Celsius, which is a 7-degree improvement over the IETS and a 29% improvement over the stock setup. So this cooler clearly is the best one that money can buy when it actually comes to raw performance. With that said, there are 2 aspects of this cooler that are probably holding me back from telling every single person to just go ahead and buy this cooler and just deal with it. Well, I would say these 2 factors are first, the noise level. Because during my testing, I saw this laptop cooling pad reach over 75 decibels, which in comparison is 15 decibels higher than even the incredibly loud IETS. And honestly, if you take a quick listen, it's not pleasant at all when you run this cooler at full speed by any means. Here, go ahead and just take a quick listen so you guys can hear it for yourself. So as you guys just heard, this is not something that you can probably tolerate without headphones. And even then, if you have headphones on, you still might be annoyed with having this system all the way up. On top of this issue, the next problem I really see with this laptop cooler is the price of the MSRP, as it's listed at $109.99, despite there being a 15% off coupon currently available on Amazon, which honestly is still not enough to make this price reasonable in my opinion, as the cost is still very expensive and you can actually get something quieter and probably better with the IETS GT500V2, which is within the swinging punch of this cooler. So with that said, if you want the very best when it comes to performance, and that's all that matters to you, go ahead and buy this cooler. But if you want my personal recommendation, I still feel like the IETS GT500V2 is the best value overall for its great performance and lower noise level and better price. And like always, if you want something more value focused, I'd probably still stick with my same recommendation that always goes back to the Kaiben, which performs very well and above its price point at only $12 over on Amazon. And if you want to check out any of the coolers that I've mentioned in this video, you can go ahead and check them out in the video description down below. And if you have any other coolers you want me to go ahead and test out, let me know in the comments down below so I can go ahead and check out the next one. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe for more content like this and PC related videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one.